Hines, Sebastian, movie reviews and more. I love this movie. First of all, I always like what you do because you're so good at improv regardless. But I just like this movie because my family is not like that. My family is wacky anyhow. How much fun was this to write for you?
Fun is maybe not the adjective I choose. Horrifically painful, awful, but cathartic. That's probably what I'd go with, yeah.
But when you have someone like Cheryl and Peter, isn't that great? Because I love Sonia too. She's
Sonia's incredible. Sonia's unbelievable. I mean, but you know, Peter and Cheryl and Sonia weren't there when I was writing about myself. That was fun. Hanging out with them was wonderful, but the writing was hard, yeah.
Was it fun for you to go back and just act instead of have to be behind the camera this one time?
Yeah, it was actually. It was nice to show up and they call, you know, that they need you on the set, and I go to the set. It's such a different experience because
you get to sleep, you
get to nap, you can talk on the phone, you can text people in between. When you're directing, it is like, you know, the one thing is, I felt when I directed was I could feel time ticking by, like every second, especially when you're on a short shoot, like you feel it. It's like in the air. And when you see people, like the crew standing around laughing, you're like, well, oh, no time for laughing. We gotta get this on off. It's like, yeah, so it's nice.
Well, what would you say to get the audience to come see this movie? Because it came out yesterday in VOD, which is great, but we still want to have people come to the theaters to see it too.
Well, I'd say that, you know, if you've got a family, you might like the movie. I think what's interesting is I wrote it, it was very personal, it was very specific to me, but I almost feel like the more specific and personal you get, sometimes the more universal that is. So, say you're going home for Thanksgiving, you know, next week, or say you don't want to go home for Thanksgiving, or say you're dreading Thanksgiving, or say there's certain things about being with your family that might give you anxiety, then maybe you'll find something in the movie for you.
And it's a good reason to get out of the house.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So that's a good 4 hours, like the drive there, the getting the popcorn, settling in,
That's right.
the drive home.
That's
you can always
right.
find, you know, another errand to run while
That's
you're
right.
out.
That's right.
So it's good. It's a good excuse to like get out and do something fun.
What can you both say about Peter?
He's legitimately like a movie genius. I mean, he would be quoting. There was something where he was quoting, you know, all these Orson Welles things and Cary Grant, and all these show tunes, and it just like flows out. It's like how he talks. His language.
He's just like a living legend. He's like, you know, from a different era, and just to hear the stories of the Sybil Shepherd and I was in France, and you know, it's just you could just hear it all day. And then not only that, but he's great in this film. Like he's sort of heartbreaking and in a good way.
It's like less is more, and that's what I liked about that.
Yeah.
Well, it's the character. Everyone's trying to like get into him and poke him and ask him for things, and he's just sipping on wine and sitting there and trying to avoid.
And you're watching him and you're trying to decide: is this guy really strong or is this guy really fragile?
Right.
You can't.
Right.
You can't. It's hard to figure out, and then at some point it's revealed, I think.
I have a section on my site that's called Matters That Matter. And what it basically is, it's your favorite charity. I know what yours is, but I want you to tell me what it is. If you have a favorite charity of yours, what might that be and why?
Well, my favorite charity is United Cerebral Palsy, because I have a nephew who's 9 that has cerebral palsy, and he's been in a wheelchair since he was born, and he, you know, everything has been a struggle, trying to learn to talk, to eat by himself, to breathe on his own, like all these things that we just take for granted has been a struggle for him, and he's one of the happiest people I've ever met. So he's just an amazing, inspirational guy. And the people at UCP, I mean, I don't know where they get their energy or their work ethic, but they're amazing.
Well, I'm originally from Washington, D.C., and actually, speaking of Thanksgiving, there's a wonderful organization called Martha's Table in D.C., where you go and on Thanksgiving you make soup, and you make soup for, you know, folks who can't, you know, can't like don't have a family, don't have somewhere to go, and everyone comes to the Martha's Table, and they have like a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. And I don't know, there's something about like food or feeling comfortable or feeling like someone's providing for you that I think is incredibly important and visceral. I don't know. So Martha's Table in Washington, D.C.
And Cheryl, Suburgatory, what's coming up, Les?
Well, Suburgatory will come out probably in January, February, and It's crazy. I just had to shoot a scene naked that they're going to pixelate. I mean, I had
Yeah, but you have a great body, though.
Oh, well, thank you. Let's say there was a lot of body makeup going on and weird, tiny undergarments. But what the weirdest part about it was a fantasy sequence, so everybody else in the room was fully clothed. And we shot it at like 7:30 in the morning. And I'm 100 years old. It's like, can't we do this when I'm 20? But yeah, so it's just more crazy and fun on Suburgatory.
And Will, what do you have coming up?
I actually just wrote a TV pilot about a.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
Yeah, about a Hasidic private eye named
Wow.
Mordecai Rabin. Yeah, and he like solves crimes in the Hasidic community.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. So that's what I'm.
Where does it take place? Here in the Fairfax district?
Yep. Fairfax, Pico Robertson.
I knew it.
He's like, he was in Jerusalem, but there was some trouble over there with the diamond merchants, and now he's with his cousin Abraham over here in LA solving crimes.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.